This is the August 27th, 2019 public hearing and regular meeting of the Board of Water Supply. It's great to see all of you. I'm glad that you all weathered the storm, so to speak. So welcome. I think we'd like to begin today by opening our public hearing. And this public hearing is to consider the proposed fiscal year 2019 to 2023 scheduled rates and charges for the furnishing of water and water service. So good afternoon once again. The purpose of which I repeated, and this is set to begin on September 10th, 2018. A notice of today's public hearing appeared in the July 27th and July 29th, 2018 Honolulu Star Advertiser newspaper. In addition, the Board of Water Supply has held 4 previous public hearings prior to today on the proposed schedule of rates and charges. The dates and locations of those public hearings were as follows. In Honolulu, on Thursday, April 26, 2018. In Kapolei, on Monday, May 14, 2018. In Kaneohe, on Tuesday, May 15, 2018. In Mililani, on Thursday, May 24, 2018. Before beginning today's public hearings, I would like to state that this board is dedicated to the provision of a safe, dependable, and affordable supply of water to our customers. One of the best ways we can ensure that this occurs is to thoughtfully plan and fund a regular program of water facility replacement and improvement, the foundation of which was established in our Water Master Plan adopted by this board in October of 2016. In May of 2017, this board considered and adopted updated financial policies, the intent of which was to ensure that we had the financial strength to implement the Water Master Plan. The short-term financial resources to support natural disaster recovery and the working capital to ensure strong bond ratings that keep our cost of borrowing money low. In March of this year, the board adopted a long-range financial plan that determined the revenue requirements needed to implement the infrastructure investment plan, inclusive of increasing the rail pipeline replacement from the current 6 to 26 miles per year to 21 miles per year, or 1% of the system, which is in accordance with guidance from the Water Master Plan recommendations, which is also based on the American Water Works Association standards. On January 5th, 2018, this board held a water rates workshop, the purpose of which was to provide guidance to staff regarding not only necessary increase in water rates, but also potential changes to the structure of our water rates, which has remained essentially the same since 1993. Since January, this board has received monthly updates on the development of the proposed changes to water rates and charges, in addition to the extensive efforts to seek public input to the changes being proposed. I am personally pleased to have participated in a number of these outreach efforts in the Board of Water Supply meetings held in Honolulu on Thursday, April 26, 2018, and in Kaneohe on Tuesday, May 15, 2018. To officially open the public hearing, I would like to ask Mr. Ernest Lau, Manager and Chief Engineer of the Board of Water Supply, and Mr. David Eversole of CDM Smith to provide a presentation regarding the schedule of rates and charges that we are considering today. This is the same presentation that was given at each of the 4 previous public hearings and includes additional information on our public outreach and the fine print, both of which were presented as an information item to this board at our July 2018 meeting. Mr. Lau, Mr. Eversole.
Thank you, Chair. Ernie Lau, Manager and Chief Engineer for the Board of Water Supply. we'll go through this presentation. I understand you'll also be, after the presentation is done, opening up for public testimony. Next slide, please. Survival of all life depends on water. It's really our vision and what we are motivated to provide to our community. Next, please. Really, we deliver safe, dependable, affordable water to our customers' tap every minute, every hour, and every day. Thanks. And it really takes a large and complex water system. It begins at our water sources, which comprise of 13 tunnels, 5 shafts, 194 groundwater wells, 13 treatment systems, mainly activated carbon treatment systems in central Oahu. Flows to 171 potable water tanks. These are concrete tanks with roofs on the top of hillsides and ridges. We also have 190 booster pumps because our customers live at different elevations around the island. This flows through the 2,100 miles of water mains in our system. It also includes about 21,000 fire hydrants that helps to provide the Honolulu Fire Department with water to fight fires. To our customers, 170,000 customers island-wide, really we serve on average 145 million gallons of water per day to almost 1 million people here in Oahu. Next, please. The fundamental question that we ask ourselves, are we provided to provide safe, dependable, and affordable water for the next generation? And to that end, we went through about 4 years of extensive planning efforts, looking ahead 30 years, evaluating our entire water system, identifying the necessary improvements, and also balancing, importantly, the cost of those improvements with providing water to our customers. And it embodied itself in the Board of Water Supply Water Master Plan, and I thank the board here to October 2016 for formally adopting as the BWS Water Master Plan as a planning policy to guide the Board of Water Supply going forward into the future. Next, please. Some of the findings of our master plan are we need to develop additional drinking water supplies for Ewa, Waianae, and Honolulu. Remember, the plan looks forward 30 years, so it's projecting out what the population increases and the water demand that goes along with the increased population might be up to the year 2040. We realize that in areas of Ewa, Waianae, and Honolulu, we need to develop new water supplies. A finding was that we have sufficient pumping capacity today, but we need additional pumping capacity to provide greater redundancy and resiliency in the water system. Pipelines are suffering problems from age, corrosion, and soil conditions. And we, on average, have about 300 water main breaks per year. A good story here in our analysis of our water demand was that Oahu cut its daily water use by 30 gallons per person or per capita since the 1990s. So since the 1990s to the present, people are using 30 gallons less on average per day per person. That saved over 12 million gallons of water a day. If you go back, please. But we realized through the planning efforts and our input from our Stakeholder Advisory Group, which provided a lot of valuable input into the Water Master Plan, that we need to do more in area conservation. We can also expect decreased rainfall, especially in West Oahu, and like we saw just last week, intensity of storms to increase. I think it's been quite a few years, or this has been maybe the second Category 5 hurricane to actually come close to Hawaii. We need to also diversify our water supply to become more resilient to adapt to climate change. Healthy watersheds, really the sponge of Mauka that soaks in the rain or the ua that falls. Mauka help to sustain our water supply over time and requires more care and conservation. Next, We anticipate over the next 30 years, we will have to invest in 800 plus infrastructure projects island-wide with a total cost of about $5.3 billion. That's in today's dollars. Over the next 10 years, in particular in the area of reliability and resiliency, an investment of almost $500 million. In the area of pipeline replacements, $876 million. Increase investments annually. Our target is to increase to about 4% of our annual CIP, or about $3.4 million a year. And also in the area of conservation and watershed protection. And this has been a great discussion with the board here, projecting out what the impact of a pipeline replacement program would have on the number of main breaks going forward in time. It does take time to bring the number of main breaks down, but if we can ramp up to replace a target of 21 miles of pipeline a year, we can see in the recommended pipeline scenario that pipe breaks per year will start to come down and be in around a little over 250 a year. The number of main breaks avoided by 2045 would be about 4,000 main breaks avoided in the system with this kind of investment. The blue line is if we continue to invest only at about 6 miles or so of pipeline being replaced each year, you can anticipate the number of main breaks to kind of keep on climbing per year. Next, please. So at this point, I'd like to turn over to David Eversole from CDM Smith. CDM Smith is our consultant on this effort, and they've done an excellent job. Dave?
Thank you. So let's talk about rates, which is the way that the BWS pays for all of these things that the manager was talking about. Now remember, in this, we're just talking about water rates, which are controlled by the Board of Water Supply, not sewer rates, which are controlled by the Department of Environment. In effect, people get confused on this because in effect the Board of Water Supply acts as a billing service for ENV, but has nothing to do with what the actual rates that ENV charges are. So water rates are proposed for a 5-year period beginning September 10th, 2018 through June 30th, 2023. There wouldn't be any increase in actual rates or people's water bills until July 1st, 2019, and increases are expected to generate about an additional $60 million for the Board of Water Supply over that time period. Now the board is committed to do a number of things with these new rates. First is to raise rates gradually so that people don't experience rate shock or a sudden jump in their rates. Next is to provide an essential needs tier that rewards people who conserve vigorously, and then to encourage conservation by highest water users. Also, there's an intent to address the subsidy that single-family residential customers currently receive, which is in large part funded by multi-unit residential customers. And then the idea that everybody pays their fair share. Now, from the studies that the Board of Water Supply has done in developing these rates, we know that single-family residential customers don't pay their full cost of service currently, and that in effect they're receiving a subsidy that's funded by multi-unit residential customers and to a greater extent non-residential customers. So we'll talk about all of these things going forward here. First is the new essential needs tier. This is a below cost rate for the first 2,000 gallons per month of water usage. All residential customers would get this rate, and about 10% of your residential customers currently use 2,000 gallons per month or less. So it's a big chunk of people who are going to directly benefit from this. The board conducted a web-based survey end of last year, beginning of this year, and 53% of respondents indicated that they would support, in fact, on a scale of rating it 4 or 5 on a scale of 1 to 5, that they would strongly support a lower rate in a new tier to ensure affordability and reward conservation. So pretty good support for this type of a tier. Another element is to adjust the tiers in the water rate structure to financially motivate conservation, particularly among your highest water users. And then a new monthly customer charge, which is based on water meter size. Now, currently, the board has a $9.26 per month billing charge that all customers pay with every bill. Regardless of meter size, that charge is $9.26 per month. But the costs of maintaining and servicing meters is in part a function of the size of those meters, and so evaluations were done to figure out what portion of those costs vary and what part don't, and then what a corresponding rate structure that varies by meter size would be. So that's what this structure reflects. So the good news is that single-family residential customers, which are the vast majority of your customers, all have 5/8 or 3/4 inch meters, and so they would retain that lowest billing charge or customer charge in the top row, currently $9.26 cents per month, increasing gradually over the period of 5 years to $12.09 per month. Hotels, large customers, malls, shopping centers, things like that have larger meters, so you might look at, say, an 8-inch meter in that case, and they currently pay $9.26 per month, and over the period, that monthly customer charge for those customers with an 8-inch meter would increase up to $277 per month, as an example of how this affects different types of customers. So again, single-family residential customers, the vast majority of them have the 5/8 or 3/4 inch meter, and we'll see the lowest changes in this. Now, talking about the water rates themselves, or the usage charge. Currently, there are 3 tiers for single-family residential customers, shown in the blue columns off to the left-hand side. The first tier is from 0 to 13,000 gallons of usage per month, and customers pay $4.42 per 1,000 gallons for water that's within that range. The next tier is from 13,001 up to 30,000 gallons per month, and those customers pay $5.33 per 1,000 gallons for the water usage that they use that's in that range. And for customers using more than 30,000 gallons per month, for that usage that's over 30,000, they're paying $7.94 per 1,000 gallons. It's proposed to change that to a 4-tier structure. The first one being the essential needs tier from 0 to 2,000 gallons per month, and customers using that amount of water would pay $3.79 per 1,000, which is less than the rate that they pay today of $4.42. And that amount would gradually climb to $4.46 per 1,000 gallons in July of 2022. Again, about 10% of your customers are using that amount of water or less. From 2,001 gallons to 6,000 gallons per month, water usage in that range would vary between $4.46 per 1,000 gallons in July of 2019, increasing to $5.25 per 1,000 in July of 2022. The reason this tier was set at this point is about half of your overall customers are using 6,000 gallons per month or less of water. So this structure was put together so that there'd be little to no change for customers using that amount of water. The next tier would be from 6,001 to 30,000 gallons per month, and the current cost in that tier is $5.33 per 1,000. It would instead range from $5.06 in July of 2019, increasing to $5.85 per 1,000 gallons in July of 2022. And then for those customers who use more than 30,000 gallons per month, and this is about the top 5% of your customers, they currently pay $7.94 per 1,000 gallons. That would increase to $8.46 per thousand in July of 2019, and then go up from there to $9.25 in July of 2022. And again, the idea here is to send a price signal that says, hey, you know, if you use less water, then you can remain in a lower tier and not have as high of a bill. Now, there have been a number of questions about why that tier that goes from 6,000 to 30,000 gallons goes up so high, up to 30,000. We actually looked at some alternatives to set it lower, say down around 21,000, or even some other places like that. And the concern was, what we saw in doing the analysis is that it had the potential to disproportionately impact low-income, multi-generational households. And so the decision was, or the recommendation was made to keep it at the 30,000 gallon number that it is today. So comparing some bills, because it's difficult to figure out what this all means when you look at dollars per 1,000 gallons per month. So comparing bills, here we're looking at the bill of an essential needs customer, someone who uses 2,000 gallons per month. Currently, they pay $18.10 per month. That includes the billing charge. Using the new monthly customer charge and the new usage rates, in July of 2019, that bill would drop just a dime to $18 per month and then gradually go up, so it's just over $21 per month in July of 2022. For the median water user, this is someone using 6,000 gallons per month, which is where about half of your customers use that amount or less. They currently pay $35.78 per month. That would increase gradually and so that in July 2022, it would be $42.01 per month, or about $7 a month higher, $6.50 a month higher. The average water user uses 9,000 gallons per month. They currently pay $49 per month is their bill. That would go up to $51 in July of 2019 and then increase from there so that it would be about $10 per month higher in July of 2022. And for the high water user, this is someone, your top 3% of customers. This example is a 35,000 gallon per month bill. They're currently paying a little under $200 per month for that water usage, and their bill by the end of July, or in July 2022, would go up to almost $230 per month. Multi-unit residential rates, these are apartments, condominiums, those with more than 3 dwelling units in a development. The rate structure, the tiers are similar. So if you look at the blue columns, you can see there's 3 existing tiers, and the prices in those tiers are currently the same as they are for single-family residential customers. So 0 to 9,000 gallons per month, they pay $4.42 per thousand. And 9,001 to 22,000 gallons per month, they pay $5.33 per thousand gallons. And for those using more than 22,000 gallons per month, they're paying $7.94 for that usage that's above 22,000. Now you'll note that the level that these tiers are set is a little bit lower than it is for the single-family residential customers, and that's because multi-unit residential doesn't have the same degree of outdoor water use that multi-unit residential does, so the tiers are set a little bit lower. That's proposed to change to a 4-tier structure, the first being the essential needs tier for 0 to 2,000 gallons per month, looking at the lavender or purple area now. And in July 2019, that would be $3.70 per thousand, increasing slowly to $3.77 per thousand gallons per dwelling unit per month. Next would be the tier that goes from 2,001 to 4,000 gallons per month, and you can see the ranges there go from $4.35 per thousand up to $4.43 per thousand. The next tier is 4,001 to 10,000 gallons of usage per dwelling unit per month, priced at $4.95 per thousand up to $5.03 per thousand. And then you can see the numbers for usage above 10,000 gallons per dwelling unit per month. Now, something to note here is that the changes in the cost per thousand don't seem as large as the changes in cost per thousand that you saw for single-family residential customers. And as I mentioned before, that's because multi-unit residential customers currently pay more than it costs to serve them. And so the idea was to take that, they currently pay about 108% of the cost of service, and so the idea was to take them down to their cost of service so that they're no longer providing a subsidy to your single-family residential customers, and single-family residential customers are paying more of their fair share. Non-residential water rates, these are uniform rates, so for all your non-residential customers. Examples of non-residential customers are hotels, restaurant, government buildings, shopping centers, hospitals, retail stores, all of those things. So they are all charged the same amount, $4.96 per 1,000 gallons of usage, and that would increase over the period up to $5.27 per 1,000 gallons in July of 2022. We looked at the possibility to change this structure to some type of a tiered structure, but the reality is that these customers all use water so differently from each other that to develop a tiered structure that would be fair and equitable for all their different types of situations is very, very difficult to accomplish. Would almost like be having a custom water bill for each customer, and that's just not administratively feasible at this point. So
We'll start thinking about it.
looking at some current subsidies, lower rates for local agricultural customers and also for recycled water customers. So these rates look like this. For non-potable customers, this is brackish groundwater that's used primarily for irrigation and other non-potable means. Those customers currently pay $2.47 per 1,000 gallons. That would rise to $2.90 per 1,000 in July of 2022. And then your recycled water customers are currently on contracts, individual contracts for each customer. The idea here is to move them over to a uniform rate schedule for different types of recycled water use. So R1 recycled water, there's Gulf customers, and then there's other customers. The rate for Gulf would start at 57 cents per 1,000, rising up to 65 cents per 1,000 gallons. And your other R1 customers would be at $1.84 per 1,000 gallons, rising up to $1.96. In total, you'd be recovering about 70% of the cost of service to serve those customers. And for your reverse osmosis or RO customers, these are customers who use a demineralized water for industrial purposes primarily. Their costs are higher because the cost to demineralize that water is quite a bit higher, so the rates reflect that change also. Also looking at new fee waivers for affordable housing, for homeless housing, and to retrofit fire sprinklers. Specifically, a waiver of water systems facilities charge for qualified affordable and homeless dwelling units. The idea here is that the board may waive the water system facilities charge and new meter costs for qualified on-site affordable and homeless dwelling units, up to 500 dwelling units per year. The waivers would be granted when the building permit is submitted for approval, and to qualify, the dwelling units must be certified as either affordable or homeless dwelling units by the appropriate agency of the City and County of Honolulu. Waiver of the water system facilities charge. And again, this is a one-time charge that a customer pays the first time they connect to the system, and it's for capacity in that system. But the waiver will apply only to fixture units associated with the certified dwelling units. The amount of the meter waiver should be calculated as a percentage of the number of certified dwelling units to the total number of dwelling units in the project. And if the annual cap of 500 dwelling units has not been reached in a given year and a project is proposed that would qualify for more than the remaining number of dwelling units in that year, then the manager and chief engineer has the discretion to increase that year's limit. And the waiver provision shall expire on June 30th, 2023. For the waiver of meter charges for residential fire sprinkler retrofits, the board may waive the new meter charge for high-rise multi-unit residential fire sprinkler retrofits, and this waiver provision shall also expire on June 30th, 2023. Other BWS charges that are in the proposed rates include a fire meter standby charge, a standby charge for emergency interconnections, a power cost adjustment, and environmental regulations compliance fee cost adjustment. The fire meter standby charge, which is for readiness to serve, would become effective on July 1st, 2019, and it applies to services used exclusively for private fire protection purposes, including automatic fire sprinkler services connected to the alarm systems, fire hydrants, and wet standpipes. Now, these must be protected against theft and leakage or waste of water, and no connection or usage of water for other than firefighting and system testing purposes is allowed. In addition, for any misuse or non-fire protection related water use, such usage will be billed at twice the highest quantity charge in effect at that time. Any such misuse or leakage, the customer shall be subject to penalty pursuant to Chapter 1, Article 3, Section 1-3.1 of the revised ordinances of Honolulu. And except for misuse and non-fire protection related use as described above, there are no quantity charges associated with these services. The standby charge for emergency interconnections also has some proposed changes to the language. A standby charge would be negotiated by the manager and chief engineer with each private water system contracting for interconnection service. Such service shall be provided only during emergency or temporary service outages with the intent to protect against interrupted water service supporting normal private system requirements. Water used shall be charged at the applicable quantity rate for each 1,000 gallons, and approval of activation and duration is contingent upon impacts to BWS customers' level of service and BWS's ability to meet water system standards requirements. So activation of service will require a written request submitted to the manager and chief engineer at least 48 hours before service is required, unless waived by the manager and chief engineer. In effect, the board has the discretion of providing this emergency service if it has the potential to impact existing customers or the level of service that they receive. Water service shall be provided in accordance with Board of Water Supply Rules and Regulations, Section 1-101, availability of water, which requires that the department have sufficient pressure and water supply available for domestic use and fire protection, and can assume new or additional service without detriment to those presently being served. Power cost adjustment and environmental regulations compliance fee cost adjustment. Both of these are within the existing rate structure. You'll note here that the quantity charge in each of these instances may be increased by 1 penny per 1,000 gallons for every $500,000 of incremental cost that's not anticipated. That used to be for every $600,000 of incremental change. And the reason is that your customers are using less water, so the numbers have been adjusted to reflect those realities. Same thing with the quantity charge. It's again a change of 1 penny per 1,000 gallons for each $500,000 of additional costs that may be incurred. And these charges are done in the subsequent year, so it's always a retroactive balance. As has been mentioned, there's been extensive public outreach for public hearings. I think, Board Chair, you went through the locations and times of each of these. Some of the public testimony, 5 people gave public testimony at those 4 different hearings. 1 was opposed to higher single-family residential increases and the tier changes. 2 were had nothing to do with water rates. They were opposed to the BWS's Red Hill advocacy. 1 was a BWS employee, and another was concerned that any increases are big for retirees on fixed income. There have been 15 neighborhood board presentations with a total of about 500 attendees. The neighborhood board numbers and locations are shown here, and a pending presentation for Hawaii. 10 interest group presentations with about 150 attendees. You can see the list here: the Honolulu Board of Realtors, the Chamber of Commerce Infrastructure Committee, 2 different AARP committees, the Hawaii Community Foundation's Freshwater Council, a number of different developers. Thus far, 2 meetings with farmers, including the Farm Bureau, meeting with golf course managers, Hawaiian Electric, and letters were also sent to members of the Hawaii Lodging and Tourism Association. There was a mailer of a special edition of Water Matters to all 170,000 or so of your account holders. 6 city council member briefings and a briefing to the city cabinet. There's ample information on your website about the proposed rates. To date, there have been nearly 1,400 page views of the rates, and over 1,000 of those have been unique visits. 13 different radio interviews, 3 articles in the Star Advertiser, other media coverage, and the total estimated reach for both traditional and social media coverage to date is about 500,000. Looking at all the comments that have been received, in addition to those through the public hearings, there have been 33 additional commenters, either through letters, email, the web, phone, or those who responded on the Star Advertiser's blog following the publication of those articles. 3 folks have voiced support, 15 opposition, 6 requested clarification, and 9 comments had to do with other topics. Nearly all those who opposed appear to be single-family residential customers. They cited impacts to customers on fixed low income, saying that the board is an inefficient monopoly, that there needs to be equity with regard to conservation programs, and those expressing displeasure at discounted rates for agriculture, the uniform non-residential rate, and the fire meter standby charge. With regard to other topics, EMV was the most common other topic.
ENV means what? ENV means what? The last item?
Department of Environmental Services, another city department.
Thank you.
There's also a regulatory process referred to as the Small Business Regulatory Review Board, which comes into play whenever you are proposing changes that could impact small businesses. The board prepared a small business impact statement and submitted it to the Small Business Regulatory Review Board, which reviewed that on June 20th. That process requires at least 30 days notice of a public hearing, which you're having today, and that public notice has been complied with. Public hearing with full consideration of all written and oral submissions is occurring today, and then following this, the board will need to submit to the Small Business Regulatory Review Board a post-hearing small business impact statement, and rates can become effective 10 days after filing with the city clerk or later as specified in your rate ordinance. There have been, we've talked a lot in the various monthly meetings about the Stakeholder Advisory Group meeting, which is focused on rate issues. In fact, there have been 17 Stakeholder Advisory Group meetings focused specifically on rate issues. I believe Mr. Cooper reviewed these topics with you last month. The Stakeholder Advisory Group has reviewed also the public input on proposed rates and expressed satisfaction with the outreach, especially to the neighborhood boards. Overall, the comments at neighborhood board meetings are positive and supportive of the BWS's approach and rationale for water rate increases. The Stakeholder Advisory Group has echoed comments from the neighborhood boards that sewer rates are very high, and there's some level of frustration about that that's been expressed. Seems to be strong, positive reception to the essential needs tier, both from the Stakeholder Advisory Group and the general public. So additionally, the Stakeholder Advisory Group expressed strong support for the ramp up to 21 miles of pipeline replacement over the next decade, along with the other prioritized infrastructure upgrades. The manager mentioned this specifically, but the stakeholders' comments are that it's aggressive but balances the ability to implement the increases along with the economic impact to customers. It allows for flexibility as the process ramps up, particularly with regard to staffing in order to implement the plan. And it's a sustainable and incremental approach to infrastructure replacement and upgrades. Stakeholders further commented that it looks like there's been a lot of vetting and that there don't seem to be a lot of recommendations for changes coming from the public outreach process, so they have recommended approving the proposed changes. So in summary, this process started about 4 or so years ago with the Water Master Plan, the Infrastructure Investment Plan, the Long Range Financial Plan, all of these different items, then leading up to the evaluation of specific water rate options in the January through March 2018 timeframe, including an iterative process evaluating potential customer impacts. In March of 2018, staff came to your board with a draft rate proposal and requesting if this looked good enough to go out to a public outreach process, which you said yes to, so that kicked off a extensive process of public input on the draft proposal leading up to today and your consideration of the proposed changes. Take any questions?
Okay, so members in the gallery, and members and audience in the gallery, now would be the appropriate time to ask questions. If you have public testimony, meaning if you're going to share an opinion on what was just presented, you will get another opportunity. At this time, it's just questions. Sir, are you giving public testimony?
Question.
Okay.
If you could go to the phone,
Sure.
recording.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Tech Yun resident.
Good afternoon.
Question is the hotels, well, how many people from the hotels will be here? You seem to have given a favorable comment during your presentation for hotels. You don't represent hotels?
Yes, sir.
Mike, as a precedent to my question, being a resident, lifetime, third generation Korean, I feel ownership for our water. For any members of the board, you're doing what we should need. Question is, well, also precedent to the question. We're running out of water. I don't know how long we can suck stone. But it takes money to make things efficient, as well as, that's you guys' job. Good job so far. Good job. The rates, my family's been 50, 60 years as hotel operator. Apartment hotel operator. And if personally feeling, I don't know, I'm not speaking for anybody else, I'm just speaking for this guy over here. If I'm gonna make money on transient accommodations. I should share a burden for those transients that use up our natural resources. Quote, theoretically. Here comes the question, Ernie, and members of the board. Are the tourists paying their fair share of the water they use? That includes hotels that house them. That includes, on the question, anything to do with water, even black water and brown water. Are these people paying their fair share? Now, you know, I don't know, I never see anything on the board about a fair share. I didn't see anything, not a single fact or figure. Comparatively speaking, as to what I'm paying and compared to what a tourist down Waikiki is paying. I don't know, hear it. Did anybody else hear it? I never heard it.
Mr. Yu, is
So-
that your question? If that's your question, is whether hotels
Are the transients
paying a fair
paying
share?
their fair share? Because based on my own family's experience, we are willing, and we think that's right, the right thing to do. Our Board of Water Supply, charging a fair share, charging tourists and hotels, fair share for use of water and sewer.
So, Mr. Yu, maybe we can get you the answer to your question. But if you would like to present public testimony, it is coming up, and if we can open up for public testimony, you can then share your opinion.
If you open up for public testimony,
Yeah.
that's kind of a ridiculous suggestion because you are the testimony, Mr. Lau, Mr. Lai.
So, sir,
You guys are the testimony as to what is a fair share being paid among all the residents, transient or permanent or multifamily, with all the categories. So, no put the onus on me, brother. You figure out what is the fair share.
I think we got an answer for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave, maybe you can explain the concept of the first analysis, which is the cost of service analysis.
Sure.
The cost to serve different types of customers in the water system.
So the way that we assess Mr. Yoon's question about whether or not different classes of customers are paying their fair share is through what's called a cost of service analysis. I think I made some references to this during the presentation. We look at all of the single-family residential customers at that customer class. We look at multi-unit residential as a customer class. We look at non-residential as a customer class. And we're able to divide up all the costs of the Board of Water Supply and put it in, allocate it to those different customer classes based on their usage patterns and the amount of water they use, the number of customers, all those factors. From that analysis, what we know is that non-residential customers, which would include hotels, restaurants, the types of businesses that Mr. Yoon was referring to, actually pay more than their fair share. They're currently paying about 120% of the cost of service. So 20% more than it costs to serve them. That money that they're paying, that more than their fair share part of it, is going to provide the subsidies that we've talked about to your agricultural customers, your recycled water customers, single-family residential, and to also provide the subsidies for things like the water system facilities charge, fire sprinkler retrofits.
Thank you. Are there any, if there's no other questions, I'd like to move to public testimony. Okay, thank you, Mr. Lau, Mr. Ebersol, We will now take testimony on the schedule of rates and charges. And due to time constraints, we ask those presenting testimonies to limit your presentations to 3 minutes each. The opportunity for public testimony as part of this public hearing, as required by law, is not open. If anyone wishes to testify on the proposed schedule of rates and charges, please come forward and state your name and, if applicable, any organization you may represent before proceeding with your testimony. Public testimony is now open. Chair recognizes Mr. Yoon. Thank you, Mr. Yoon.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else who would like to present public testimony today? Okay, hearing none. If there is no further testimony on the proposed budget, the public hearing is now closed. I would now like to proceed with the regular meeting agenda.
Chair, there is a slight correction to the agenda, and I can bring that up after you convene the public meeting.
Okay, I'd like to convene the meeting at this time. Manager Lau, did you have a?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I apologize again. There was a slight error in the original posting of the agenda on item number 2. I believe the effect is the last part of item number 2, effective September 10th, 2018 through September 30th, 2023. The original posting, which has been corrected, indicated 2018. So the 2018 on June 30th needed to be 2023.
I see.
That's the correction.
So the correct record is that the adoption of resolution number 889, 2018, adopting the revisions to the schedule of rates and charges for the furnishing of water and water service for fiscal years 2019 to 2023, effective September 10, 2018 through June 30th, 2023. Is that the correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay, noted. Thank you. And since we are in our regular board meeting, I would like to take it out of order and take item number 2 at this time, since we're already making reference to it, and to continue on from the public hearing that we just concluded. So, members, we have here for consideration, this is the adoption of the rates. It's adoption of resolution number 889, 2018. It's item number 2 in your packet. Again, to adopt the revisions to the schedule of rates and charges for the furnishing of water and water service for fiscal years 2019 to 2023, effective September 10th, 2018 through June 30th, 2023. Can I entertain a motion at this time to approve? Okay, move. Seconded. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? I think this is it. This is the adoption of the new rate schedule. I would like to thank members of the board, Mr. Lau, entire staff of Board of Water Supply, for carrying us through this process, for ensuring a fair process, going out to the community numerous times in the last 6 months or 12 months. It's been a very interesting process, but also very educational process. I'm actually quite excited to embark on this new journey for the board, especially wrapping up repairs to the water main system to the AWWA recommendation of 21 miles per year. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, resolution number 889, 2018 is approved.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Moving to item number 1, which is the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting held on July 23rd, 2018. I hope you've all had a chance to review them. They are again included in your packet. May I have a motion to approve? Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, any corrections, updates, or amendments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right. Moving right along here, item number 3 is adoption of resolution number 890, 2018. And this is in honor of Molly M. Steele, who has been named 2018 Employee of the Year.
Thank you, Chair. I'm kind of fighting the cold from the busy week we had last week with Hurricane Lane. And so I'll ask our Deputy Manager and Chief Engineer Ellen Kichimura to read the resolution honoring them all. Thank you. Thank you, Ellen.
All right, good afternoon, Chair and board members and guests. It's my pleasure to read the resolution for Molly M. Steele, please. And please recognize Molly, who is our 2018 Employee of the Year. Excuse me, I'm kind of getting over a cold. I'll lose my voice. Whereas Molly M. Steele, a safety specialist 2 with the Executive Support Office, has been a dedicated and exceptional employee since joining the Board of Water Supply in February 2015 and has been selected as the department's 2018 Employee of the Year. And whereas Ms. Steele is an exemplary employee whose hard work and dedication has enabled the department to strengthen its efforts to safeguard those who work to keep Oahu's water resource viable. And whereas Ms. Steele works to improve all aspects of safety awareness among Board of Water Supply employees and has elevated the importance of maintaining a safe work environment, implementing many educational and training programs to serve a wide range of BWS employees, all while keeping current with constantly evolving safety guidelines. And whereas Molly M. Steele's outstanding efforts has led to a long-term safety program improvements, such as a revamping of the department safety manual, installation of automated external defibrillators at all staff BWS facilities, regular job hazard analysis, and customized monthly safety top requirements for all divisions and workplace inspections, including main break repair sites to ensure continued compliance with federal safety rules. And whereas Ms. Steele's efforts to continually promote on-the-job safety to ensure that BWS personnel remain mindful of preventing accidents wherever possible is key to the department's ability to fulfill its mission to provide safe, reliable, and affordable water now and into the future. Where Molly M. Steele has been selected as the Board of Water Supply Employee of the Year and will go on to represent BWS in the upcoming City Employee of the Year recognition ceremony, bringing pride and honor to the department, her family, her friends, and now, therefore, be it resolved by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we hereby express to Molly M. Steele our sincere appreciation for her outstanding service to the department and to the City and County of Honolulu. Be it further resolved that the members of the board express to Molly M. Steele our sincere congratulations upon her selection as the Board of Water Supply Employee of the Year for 2018. And be it finally resolved that this resolution be presented to Ms. Steele with our heartfelt aloha and best wishes for success in all her future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. Group photo. Whatever you guys say.
Come on down. Anybody else want to jump in?
Actually, we have the resolution after.
Oh, okay, oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you. Thanks.
That's good. That's great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we have to take action on this, so may I entertain a motion, even though we already took pictures? May I entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 890-2018, proclaiming Molly M. Steele as our 2018 Employee of the Year. Moved, seconded, all those is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, it's adopted. Congratulations again. And thank you very much for your service. Moving right along here, and I'll try to remember to take action before we is the adoption of resolution number 891, 2018. Mark S.O. Chun, 2018 Manager of the Year.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, it is my pleasure to read the resolution for Mark S.O. Chun, who is hiding here. He's our 2018 Manager of the Year. And very shy. Not contagious. Okay, whereas Mark S.O. Chung, Assistant Program Administrator of the Water Resources Division, has been selected as the Board of Water Supply Manager of the Year for 2018. And whereas Mr. Chun administers strategic water resource infrastructure and sustainability programs within the Water Resources Division, including long-range water resource and system planning, the capital improvement program related to system capacity expansion, water conservation and recycled water, hydrogeologic resource monitoring, and development reviews of water commitments for growth. And whereas Mr. Chun has done an outstanding job serving as the project manager for the Energy Savings Performance Contract, which will reduce BWS's overall energy use by 9% through efficient and renewable energy production. And whereas Mr. Chun is a strong proponent of developing future managers through training and has encouraged the branches to create one-on-one level classes that span the basic work done in all areas of the Water Resources Division. This has enabled new staff to start with a solid foundation and provide seasoned staff with supplemental information to do their jobs more efficiently. And whereas in November 2017, Mr. Chun's management abilities were recognized when he was awarded the prestigious William Y. Thompson Award by the Hawaii Water Works Association, the highest honor the HWWA can bestow on a member. Whereas outside of work, Mr. Chun volunteers as the lay pastor for Hope Chapel, Pearl West. For many years, he has and continues to help the community and youth ministry he serves. And whereas Mr. Mark S.O. Chun has proven himself to be a dedicated, dependable, and skillful manager who leads by example and personifies attributes that employees desire in their leaders, earning the respect of the subordinates, colleagues, and BWS management. And whereas Mr. Chun's selection as the 2018 BWS Manager of the Year and his nomination as a City Manager of the Year has brought pride and honor to the BWS and all of his family and friends. Now therefore, be it resolved by the members of the Board of Water Supply, City and County of Honolulu, that we hereby do express to Mark S.O. Chun our heartfelt appreciation for his outstanding service to the department and the City and County of Honolulu. And be it further resolved that the members of the board express their sincere congratulations upon his selection as the Board of Water Supply Manager of the Year for 2018. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Mr. Chun with our warmest aloha and best wishes for his future endeavors. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Ellen. Members, can we entertain a motion to approve? Second. Okay, moved and seconded to approve the adoption of resolution number 891/2018. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, the resolution is adopted. Congratulations. Moving along, items for information. We first have our capital improvement program quarterly update.
Mr. Jason Takaki, Program Administrator for Capital Projects and Regional Collaboration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and board members. This is the quarterly capital improvement program report for all divisions for the fourth quarter of fiscal year 2018. 59 contracts were awarded in the fourth quarter, totaling $83 million. And this completes the 2017-2018 fiscal year. In total, $108 million in contracts were encumbered on a total projects budget of just under $110 million. And the pages that follow are the detail of the contracts that were awarded, as well as the contracts completed during the fourth quarter. And at the bottom of the first page is the total work in progress of design and construction projects. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
Members, any questions?
How do we generally do on construction? Are we basically on time, on budget? Just ballpark, give me a feel.
It varies tremendously depending on the type of project. We have been very successful being on budget, on time with our water main replacement, which is unusual because of the degree of uncertainty with any time we were working underground.
Any other questions, members? Okay. Thank you very much, Jason, for the report. Next up is recruitment status. Chair recognizes Michelle Thomas.
Good afternoon, Board Chair, Board members. As you can hear, I'm also not feeling so well, but what you have in front of you is the normal quarterly report that we provide regarding our current recruitment. For the quarter of May 2018 through July 2018, we had 4 new hires, 7 promotions, 3 transfers, 7 separations, 21 new approvals to fill, and 4 canceled requests. If you look at the page that's indicating the recruitment and separation status, you'll see that we had quite a bit of activity over this last quarter. Particularly, it's notable that we didn't have a lot of retirements during this time of the year, and that is typical for this time of the year, as we see most of our retirements toward the end of the calendar year, around December. And we also did have quite a bit of recruitment activity that is going on, as evidence of our ramping up of our CIP and staffing for the move forward with our CIP. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of those questions.
Members, any questions? I have a question. Do we have an anticipated number of retirees for this year? Do we already know, or is that something we can?
We can't really predict when people are going to retire. However, right now with the board, we have about 30% or more of our staff that are eligible to retire within the next 30 days.
If I can add also, there are some retirements that will happen at the end of this month or end of this week, including my secretary, Ms. Lisa Kim. I am really going to miss her, but I wish her the best on her retirement.
Yeah, definitely on behalf of the board, thank you very much to Lisa Kim. She's been of great service to us.
So I believe we have at least 3 retirements.
That's
Frank
correct.
Suarez, our messenger, and also White from our land division. They're all retiring at the end of this month. Was there anything else on October?
There are a couple others. I don't have them off the top of my head, but we do also have a few people who
Stephanie
are
from
moving on
Laura
to.
from payroll is also retiring at the end of August.
You said 30% of our employees are eligible to retire. In what period?
Within the next 30 days.
30 days?
Yeah, the way it works for the civil service is that they have to give us 30 days notice for them to retire. And at any given point right now, we have at least 30% of our employees who can submit their retirement notice within the next 30 days.
So it's very important what the state legislature might do to the retirement benefits. We watch that very carefully this session.
And that number is also, it's trending to increase, and that's happening in a lot of industries right now due to the baby boomers all getting to the point where they are retirement eligible.
But this is at a time when we're expanding our scope of work for the board.
That's correct.
And you're expanding recruitment for the additional staffing we need to meet that need.
That's correct.
Is 30% in the next 30 days norm?
Right now, it is because of the generations. Right now, we have 4 different generations within the workforce, and the latter of those generations is the baby boomers, which is a large population who are ready to retire right now. And so we are trying to work towards ensuring that our recruitment is constantly ongoing in order to ensure that we have sufficient staffing to meet the board's needs.
So out of a workforce, if it's like 787 or 591 is what we have filled.
Right now, if you look at the numbers on here, it's showing our numbers prior to the last month's adoption of the additional budget for us to add to those numbers. But right now, the number should be at the 741 based on the recent budget approval for the FY 18-19 budget.
Is it 30% of that number, or is it the 520, the total current employees?
Well, that 30% is just over the lifespan of all of the current employees that we have right now, and based on when their eligible retirement dates are.
That's about 150.
Substantial number, yeah.
And when you say eligible to retire, I mean, everybody's eligible to retire. You can all walk out and retire at any time. What does that mean? What's the standard for eligibility?
The standard is they have to meet the age requirement as well as the 30-year requirement in order for them to be able to have full benefits when they retire.
So you're saying that 30% of our employees, in fact, have 30 or more years of service and are of the age that they can retire?
That is correct.
Wow,
That's substantial.
that's substantial.
I don't believe this is unique to just Board of Water Supply.
I understand that, but that's our problem.
It is our challenge.
Yeah, and so what we've been trying to do is trying to translate the historical knowledge from those employees down to the newer employees in order to make sure that we have that running knowledge within the Board of Water Supply.
Another area of succession planning and documenting work procedures and policies. And so newer employees will have an easier time understanding what their job requirements are. And so creating systems and documentation that helps with their transition. Similar to what Mark, Water Resources Division is doing, is capital projects is doing in other divisions.
Wow, Kapua, we have a long way to go. Thank you for the report. If there's no other question. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving right along here, item number 4, items for information. We have the status update of groundwater levels at all index stations. Chair recognizes values varies in
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. As of July, we have no groundwater wells no index wells in low groundwater status. The production for July was 150 million gallons per day. This amount is slightly above our 5-year monthly average, but below the production that we experienced last year for the same time. Rainfall index for July was 85% of normal. 5-month moving average is 111%. And 2 areas are so central Oahu is in the abnormally dry conditions, and leeward Oahu is in moderate drought conditions. But again, no index wells are in low groundwater status. Most of the monitoring wells are showing static or declining trends as the pumping is increased during the summer periods with the higher temperatures of summer. But all in all, pretty good shape for August, or July, sorry. Thank you.
Members, any questions? Thank you for the report. Next item, item number 4 for information. The water main repair report for July 2018. Chair recognizes Mr. Mike Puki.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. During the month of July, we had 37 breaks, main breaks. 3 significant breaks. First was on July 2nd, Alakawa Street. This was actually the intersection of Alakawa and Nimitz Highway. We ran into oil in the grounds, which the excavation work was tough. The second one, the significant one, is on July 11th, the 30-inch main on Dade Street, because this is one of our major transmission lines that feed the Diamond Booster. And lastly, July 12th, the 12-inch Vineyard was significant because we had to close the Palama Street off-ramp on the freeway because of the traffic impacts that we had on the site. The leak detection team surveyed approximately 80 miles, and we encountered, we found 2 leaks that we prepared before we turned to any major. Any questions?
Members, any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of our regular agenda. Can we have a thank you to everyone who attended today? We have a motion to enter into executive session.